And a good Monday midday to you. Roger Hill of Wuthering Heights. This weather video is driven by 802cars.com, representing 802 Toyota, Twin City Subaru, and 802 Honda. They're all located off of Exit 7 on Interstate 89. Big picture here, we have a major weather system here. This is a deep area of low pressure that's in the upper levels as well as at surface. The blue line showing the isobars down at the ground level. And this is about 18,000 feet at 500 millibars or 500 hectopascals. We also have a big push of cold air that's working on in, and you can see this by looking at some of the temperatures here. Temperatures basically in the 30s, falling throughout Western Canada, swinging in around this big upper level system as well. This is going to be taking a deep dive all the way into northern Mexico and affecting a good portion of the west coast and alleviating the heat that is out there currently. The other thing to look at here is a lot of smoke, of course, and this has been filtering into portions of the East Coast now. Got a lot of smoke. Many of these icons here you see, very dense smoke. This is taking place from the many wildfires that are across the Pacific Northwest, some parts of the Rockies, and the interior West. A little bit closer to home, we have some fairly strong winds blowing in across the Champlain Valley. A subalert is in effect for the northern half of the Champlain Valley, where the winds are going to be strongest at 40 to locally 50 miles per hour. And we could see some wind gusts as high as 40 miles per hour and some of the higher terrain across the northern tier especially. A lot of cloud cover working on in currently right now, and this is basically due to a batch of thunderstorms that have developed during the overnight period. Some mesoscale convective complexes taking place, and a lot of this is mainly blow off from the anvil level, and this is going to continue to overspread Vermont as it begins to weaken and thin out. We're looking at the metrics of the water vapor, or PWatts, precipitable water in the atmosphere. Again, blue is dry, red is exceptionally wet, and the darker the reds and whatnot, that shows the sigma here, or the precipitable water standard deviations, which generally is around 1 to 2, and there doesn't look like anything. It's super duper here. However, that moisture gets in here during the night tonight, Monday night. It looks like into the day on Tuesday. Little secondary system that's going to be kind of brushing across the Canadian border, kind of flirting with us. Well, we do get into a little bit of a wetter air mass, and this will go into Wednesday, where there could be some widely scattered shower and thunderstorms across the northern one half of the region. And you can see there's several different sort of strands or strings of moisture. This is an old frontal boundary. This is a new frontal boundary. And this is what's going to move through, it looks like, on Thursday and bring us some widely scattered rain shower activity. At this point in time, it does not look like we'll see thunderstorms. And jumping to the 0Z European here, we can see that slightly drier air is beginning to work on in with a 1 to 2 sigma standard deviation. As we dry out and we do cool off, we lower the dew point temperatures as well, and it's going to be a fine weekend that's going to be setting up as it looks right now, at least Friday and Saturday through this point before a return to more moisture, and you can see how that's working in with another frontal system that's going to be working through along about Sunday just after this period. One more look here. We're looking at the European 06Z model. So take a look at Montana and some of the higher terrain of the northern Rockies. You can see in the Yellowstone country and good portions of the Bighorn Mountains and so forth. That's going to be dropping into Colorado. And for us, we're going to stay relatively dry, but we're right on the edge. This is valid tomorrow evening at 5 o'clock. That would be 8 o'clock in the evening. And you can see just how close along the northern tier regions. And that's the only real threat for any kind of shower and thunderstorm activity to speak of, other than what we might find in a couple spots today. I don't think it's going to be a big deal, though. Now, on Thursday, we have a better frontal system that works on through. You can see that a little bit more widely distributed precipitation. But man, it is really light. It's just not going to help us out here. And if anything, we're headed for moderate drought and probably on the increase based on the next 5 days and just how the lack of precipitation is with us. The Gfs Canadian Ensemble looks like this. We have just small chances. This is centered on Montpelier, Vermont, but it's fairly illustrative of the lack of precipitation. Just a few spots here, especially during Tuesday and into Wednesday. We dry out a little bit more later in the week, and then we'll see something towards Sunday. And looking at the total QPF, it looks like this. Really not a big deal. Maybe the stuff on Sunday, and as we get into the weekend, we might actually get a little bit more way in the precipitation department. And the blue lines here represent about 1 inch. That's half an inch, so you can see that it's drier across southern parts and eastern parts of New England. A little bit wetter as you head further to the west here. And 1.5 amounts illustrated here. The main storm track is like this. And then, of course, we got some snow working into the Rockies. Here's that colder air that's dropping into the Rockies right now. This is the anomalous temperatures, and you can see just how warm it is, well above normal out west, very hot temperatures. Incidentally, this is going to get pushed off the Pacific coast a little bit and really target British Columbia and the Pacific Northwest with heat. As this drops down and heads for northern Mexico. Very bizarre. That whole action produces that big trough and then a ridge of higher pressure for the east coast, and that's what we're going to see, and that's why we're warming up toward the middle part of the week. There's your warming temperatures. These are 2-meter temperatures based on the Canadian and Gfs Ensemble. Then we get a sharp cold front, see the temperatures drop later in the week, especially along about Friday, and then we'll start to see a ramp up in temperature just a little bit more. A lot of news talking about how cold it is. Look at this. This is meteorological output statistics for high temperatures, max temperatures for the next 5 days. And you can see that it's minus 30 in eastern parts of Colorado. Very significant. That warm up I just talked about, Pacific Northwest. This is going to try to make it a little bit more into California and then into northern Mexico. What's that do for us? Pumps up a ridge of higher pressure. What about 3 days? Well, this is 3 days later. Let's go back to... Here we go. Here's 3 days later, and we got warmer than normal temperatures, fairly neutral in some spots of Vermont, so not as big a heat situation. Still some pretty hot weather back in the Pacific Northwest. And this is vertically integrated smoke. This was taken a little bit earlier this morning. You can see a lot of the wildfire smoke is being packed in through the jet stream here and shifted into the north and east. Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights. Thanks for watching.